This is the story of how Blizzard accidentally created a virtual pandemic in World of Warcraft that was studied by epidemiologists for years. On September 13th, 2005, they added this, the capital city of Zul'Gurub. These guys are the locals, they're called the Gurubashi, and they worship a terrible blood god. His name is Hakkar the Soul Flayer. Yes, that's actually his name. Hakkar has this particularly nasty spell that deals a bunch of damage to the player every 2 seconds, and it spreads to nearby players. Kinda like a disease. It turns out corrupted blood could also spread to pets. If the pet caught corrupted blood and then was dismissed back into the player's inventory, the player could travel to a densely populated city, release their pet, and wreak havoc. When I tell you chaos broke loose, there were bones scattered everywhere on the ground from the lower level characters who had died. These blood particle effects were spurting up every few seconds. Players with healing spells attempted fruitlessly to aid in the situation. It was truly a gruesome sight. Even NPCs were capable of catching and spreading it, although they couldn't die from it, which makes them essentially asymptomatic carriers. Normal gameplay was basically impossible during this time, as Blizzard scrambled to fix the issue by trying to convince players, largely unsuccessfully, to quarantine themselves. The plague raged on for several days until Blizzard finally got wise, reset the server, patched the bugs, and everything was back to normal. But by that point, this event had already received a ton of attention, even outside of the WoW community, and it was an unforgettable moment in WoW history. One group who took a particular interest in corrupted blood were epidemiologists. Since WoW is largely a social game, researchers saw potential in this as a case study of how people might respond in the face of a real pandemic. In 2007, epidemiologist Dr. Eric Lofgren and Dr. Nina Pfefferman published a paper revealing their findings after studying the corrupted blood plague. What they found is that corrupted blood revealed some insights into the spread of infection that traditional mathematical models couldn't. To quote the paper, the failure of the quarantine measure could not have been accurately predicted by numerical methods alone, since it was driven by human decisions and behavioral choices. Let's just hear it from Nina Pfefferman herself at GDC 2011.
We saw some courage, we saw some compliance with the imposed quarantine, we saw fear, we saw some suspicion of the quarantine and of Blizzard's motives in doing all of this. We saw some public concern. The bulletin boards were going mad. There was everything from the equivalence of, aliens have landed conspiracy theories to, oh, it's a glitch, though we said it tomorrow, everyone calm down and just have fun. And there was everything in between. There were looters, there were people maliciously running in and infecting guilds. Actually, even the background perspective of the people in charge scrambling was actually a really good analogy for real-world events.
Sounds kind of familiar, no? Obviously, a video game is never going to be one-to-one with reality, but this genuinely informed pandemic research. And I think we can all agree it has some unfortunate parallels to the events of the last 2 years.